Hello, good evening. Please, if you can see my screen, if you can see my screen or see my video, hear my voice, whatever it is, just let me know so we can proceed. Just let me know in the chat, please. Or you can unmute yourself. Can you see me?
We can see you.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. Okay, good evening, everyone. My sincere apologies for the delay. Let us proceed. Um, this is the first edition of AI Beyond the Hype. Can we celebrate that a little bit in the chat? If you're excited to learn about AI, how you can create with it, profit with it, and build something sustainable with it, just celebrate a little bit the chat. All right, that's amazing. That's amazing. Let's get right into it. Can the person kindly mute their mic? I don't know who's someone is speaking. Kindly mute your mic so we can begin. Once I get to the first point of the slide, please, the introduction. All right, so this evening, I'm not just going to be the only one speaking to you about this fast and new technological shift called artificial intelligence. It's not so new, anyways. It has just evolved in a way that is more accessible to the public, in a way that is more sustainable now because a lot of things can be built on and around it. So I'm going to be joined by two extraordinary speakers that have proven to be experts in their field. One of that is Heaven Eden. And can you celebrate that in the chat? Celebrate that in the chat, or unmute your mics and celebrate that in the chat. You don't get to come by this opportunity very easily. You don't get to come by this opportunity very easily. Celebrate that in the chat. And we also have with us, going to be speaking to us as well, the law preacher, Benedicta Wokocha. So tonight is packed. We are ready for you. We have a lot for you tonight. So celebrate that in the chat. It's going to be a really amazing session. So let me get right into it. At the core of this program this evening is what I'm going to call our signature framework. Is to create, is to profit, and is to protect. Because at the end of the day, whatever it is you create, definitely you want to monetize it. Definitely you want to be able to profit from it because we need money, right? And at the end of the day, you still want to be able to protect your wealth and protect the structure that you've been able to build for yourself. So we are going to follow that framework. And I hope that at the end of this webinar, because I asked for us to share that in the chat, I don't know how many of you did, what exactly it is that you intend to get out of this webinar, what exactly it is that made you click that registration link. What do you hope to get out of this? Do you hope to just acquire knowledge? Do you actually want to create something with AI after now? Do you actually want to profit? And do you hope to build a solid ground after doing all these things? So we're going to get you to that point, right? So the first slide, please. Right. So just like every other evolution, first we had the internet and then there was social media. Now we have artificial intelligence, but there's a huge distinction because artificial intelligence came with a wave that seemed like a mere trend. A lot of people came up on media, they were creating animated. I was one of them at some point, right? Creating animated movies, storytelling, a lot of things, and it was blowing up. We're monetizing with it, right? But it first came up with the traditional AI. We knew AI the traditional way with the chat GPTs, the ones that will help you, tell your stories, the ones that will help you write, the ones that will help you do deep thinking and deep searching, analysis, and all of those things. And then all of a sudden, we came to a point where we've had generative AI in this form, creative AI in this form, and now there is a huge shift. We're going to get into all of that. So unlike the internet and the social media, and now we have artificial intelligence. This is something that it has proven to be a dicey subject matter, right? They were able to regulate the internet to a certain point. They were able to regulate social media to a certain point, right? Which is still evolves every day. But artificial intelligence itself has proven to be a tough nut in that regard. And we're going to get into all of that. We're going to get into the regulatory frameworks. We're going to get into everything this evening. So when we talk about artificial intelligence, there are like two sides of the coin. There are the people that look at artificial intelligence, they're like two sides of the coin. The one part of it are the people that are very much uninterested in artificial intelligence. They feel like it's just a trend, it's just a hype, like the theme of this webinar, AI Beyond the Hype, because it came with a wave, it came with a hype, right? And they feel like it's a passing fancy and they want you to, focus on using only your brain and only your intelligence and not get drawn in the wave of artificial intelligence. While there are the other people that are actually interested in figuring out what can I get out of this thing? Am I either going to ride on the wave of the trend or I'm going to build something sustainable that's going to last even after the hype dies down? And we're here for that part of, the coin, right? The people that are interested in that other part, because at the end of the day, the same time when the internet came, social media came, there were still people that doubted if it was going to be something meaningful, right? So let's move on to the next slide. Let's move to the next slide, please. Right. The previous slide, please. Perfect. Yes. This is something I want to ring very clearly and very loudly because it's very easy to creep up on every human being. AI is not magic. It is not human. It is a tool. If you can just type AI is a tool in the chat, I would really appreciate it because I want us to take that home with us. AI is not your brain. It is not magic. It is not human. It is a tool. The intelligence is artificial. Who has the real intelligence? Humans, mankind, me. I am the one with the real intelligence, not AI. AI is a tool, right? So if you can see from the slides, there's a stack of books, that's the inputs, and then the world's fastest intern, who is metaphorically our AI. AI is the world's fastest intern, the intern that will take your inputs, and they'll give you outputs without being micromanaged in a certain way. As much as sometimes you do have to prompt and over prompt, we're having more and more intelligent forms of AI these days that the moment you put in one or two, you don't have to do a lot of work. You get a very cool, presentable outputs. That's on the one part. On the second part, we can look at it this way. On the second part, we can look at it this way. There is AI inputs, and there is you in the middle, and then there is the output, right? At the end of the day, AI cannot work without you. AI cannot operate without your intelligence. So as much as there is artificial intelligence, AI remains the intern, it remains the tool. AI is not the boss. You're the one in control. Can we move to the next slide, please? Next slide, please. Perfect. The AI evolution, a comparative diagnostic. I've actually spoken about this very briefly, but I'm going to just gloss over it. There's a traditional and generative AI. Traditional AI is what we all know. In fact, we all use AI. Even looking at the pictures of some of us right now on this call, a couple of us have pictures generated with artificial intelligence, right? To analyze, to understand, to recognize, do a lot of things for us, right? And generative AI has come with the ability to produce voices, to produce text, to produce videos, images at a faster pace. The work that ordinarily a creative company, right, or a creative agency rather, the work that a creative agency or a social media agency would have been able to do previously can be done by one tool. Now, one content that was made under 10 minutes can be used and turned into different content forms now. It can be turned into a LinkedIn form content. It can be turned into a YouTube form content. It can be turned into a content for Instagram. You can use one tool to create one output that will serve you in several ways. The next slide, please. Perfect. Now, this is where I want to capitalize on as well, because this is going to speak to the people that are saying AI is probably a passing fancy, like every other trend. There are still people that think that. I have conversations with people every day, and when they hear AI, they're like, oh, AI this, AI that. We need to clear away and debunk that mindset from us. It is not the same. Looking at this is 15.7 trillion added to the global to GDP by 2030. This was a projection made by PwC. How many of us know them? They're a professional services agency, a global professional service agency. If you know them, you can just put it in the chat. They're a professional service agency. They made a projection that by 2030, this is the revenue, the GDP that AI is gonna, set globally. And then out of that, we have over here, this is for Africa. Over here, the projection was made by the International Finance Commission, that is IFC. They made a projection, they scale. These are professionals in their field. So they do this projection, they do this scaling, and they looked, and this is what they came up with. Out of this $15.7 trillion, not even Naira, $237 billion is going to be added to Africa's GDP. So if we pay attention now, while the field is still being shaped, there's a lot to leverage on at this point. So it is still early. Regulations are still being formed. There is no solid African legislation currently. However, countries, platforms are beginning to make regulations, and some have made solid regulations like the US and the EU. But we're going to get to that when we get to protections. So next slide, please. Okay, perfect. I think I've capitalized on this enough, so I'm going to just gloss over it. The biggest risk today isn't using AI. The biggest risk is ignoring it. The two sides of the coin that I mentioned, the competitiveness of the non-adopters, people that say, oh, this is just another passing fancy, and the people that are actually going to leverage on AI. It's one thing to say, oh, you're just using AI, it's going to make you lazy. That's actually a debatable, point of view, that AI is going to make you brain dead, or it's going to make you rely on it a whole lot. Like, you're going to stop using your own intelligence. You're going to lend your intelligence to AI and rely on the tool solely. That's why I want us to know. I want us to take it home that you are the one in control. You are the driver. AI is the tool, and the tool would not drive itself. So let's go to the next slide, please. Perfect. So before we get into monetization, because we are slowly getting into the next, we've talked about creation, right? You know what AI does. I don't want to overspread and overflog, but I will, because that is what we are here for. We know what AI does. You know what AI can do for you. AI can create realistic images. AI can create voice cloning tools, tools that replicate your precise and exact voice. And these tools are available to the public. I mean, it's not even something that is so difficult that someone that has a technical know-how needs to know before they can, figure their way around these tools. A layman can pick up these tools, go to Google, go to YouTube. There are how-to videos everywhere, all over YouTube. And you just pick it up and you learn how to use it. And before you know, you've already been able to clone people's voices. You've already been able to replicate people's images. And there's a whole lot that can be done with it, I'm sure you know, in terms of fraud, right? So the 4 pillars of leverage: productivity, content creation, entrepreneurship, business operations. These are 4 pillars within which we can leverage this new wave of AI. This is the opportunity. I would regard these 4 pillars under the AI opportunity. You can use it for productivity and efficiency. Lawyers can use it. What's it called? Accountants can use it. Not even can. This is what we do. I'm a lawyer. This is what we do day by day. Use it to review. But that's why I kept repeating. AI is a tool, right? Because there are cases that come up every day. Right, last week, I found my way in a case, in a matter, and someone actually used an AI-generated document that she did not fact check in a real-life matter. I mean, it's crazy, but it's happening every day, right? That's why I keep saying AI is it. So do not lend your intelligence to the tool. You are the one with the intelligence. AI's intelligence is synthetic. AI trains off human intelligence. That's how it works. That's how it works. It is your human intelligence that is being put into AI. The information that is all around you, all over social media, all around you. So these big tech companies take it and they impute it into this artificial intelligence, right? And that is what we are using, because now you're not only being able to have experience and knowledge of people around you, you have global knowledge, global experience. So these are the 4 core pillars of leverage this in the AI opportunity landscape: for productivity, for content creation. This brings us back to the likes of the deepfakes. Deepfakes are what we call hyper-realistic images, hyper-realistic clones, AI avatars that are hyper-realistic of people. I've seen all over the internet. I'm sure I'm not the only one. It's a trend right now. The hype is up there right now. Realistic images of your president Tinubu doing a lot of crazy things. There are some that are about Don Jazzy. People use it in their music videos. I mean, it's all fun. Now we know that this part of the country, we are all for cruise, but that's the most important thing about opportunity. Opportunity comes silent. Opportunities for the 1%. So while everybody is in the cruise and they are dancing around with President Tinubu's face, they're dancing around with VDM's face, and they're doing all of that with a hype, the real architects build silently. The real architects look for leverage, and that is what we are doing here today. So on productivity, content creation, entrepreneurship, business operations. When it comes to entrepreneurship and business operations, I gave an example previously about maybe a social media agency, somebody that would have had to employ a lot of people to do video recording. You'd have had to employ a video editor. You'd have had to employ a whole lot of people just to provide one content. But now you can do all of that with one tool. One tool will write your script. One tool would create your video. One tool would edit the video. The same tool would even be able, you can integrate your AI output, your AI tool with your social media accounts. And that same tool is going to push out that content to your social media. So you're having a lot of time on your hands to do a lot of personal things, to do a lot of reflection, to do a lot of, there's a whole lot you can do. Strategic thinking, strategic planning, right? And then business operations, majorly business automation when it comes to business operations. However, we have a specialist in the field that will be here to tell us a whole lot more about that. So let us move on, please. Next slide. Next slide, please. Precisely. So these are different ways that people use AI. We're still on creation. We've not fully moved into monetization. We're getting there, right? The lawyer drafts versions of legal research in seconds. The consultant summarizes legal reports instantly. The student simplifies difficult concepts on demand. I mean, not only are we using the basics, like I don't want to refer to them as basic because they keep improving their models day by day, but the most popular ones are the likes of ChatGPT, Google Gemini, right? And then Claude is also becoming very popular. So these tools, they are endless. Perplexity, that's also one of those tools. They are endless, and we use them every day. The business owner drafts proposals and emails in minutes, and we use them every day. But the models keep improving. And even AI is being used to create applications that will even be used to take these things to the next level. So the opportunity isn't the tool. The opportunity is what you do with the time you save. Precisely. I think I said something about this already when I said, when AI carries most of the execution work, what do you do with the remaining time? That time where you do strategic thinking, that time when you invest in networking. Because when your business is already running on a system, when you've been able to build a system around your business, around your wealth creation, then you'll be able to focus on how to get people, real life people, to connect with your business. The strategic thinking comes in, the vision part of it comes in, right? And you'll be able to do the real life work that AI cannot do because you've been able to set up your system. So next slide, please. Please, next slide. Okay, precisely. I'm going to gloss over this because it's already been stated about how one content or one output from AI can do a whole lot for you, right? It can be an Instagram post, a LinkedIn content, it's a whole lot. one form, one output, one video recording that, like speaking to Siri, and you told AI, this is what I want to produce, this is what I want to get. And it ended up giving you a script that maybe you tweaked here, tweaked there, and you've been able to use it across platforms for weeks sometimes, if it's such a voluptuous work. So more visibility, more consistency, more customers, because you can speak to AI. I don't really want to go too deeply into things like prompt engineering, but when you speak to AI in a person, like, for example, a very plain example, as an experienced person in XYZ field, let me be very practical. Can someone give me a random field from the comments? Just give me a random field from the comments. Anyone in the chat, just give me a random field. Okay, great. Great. Thank you so much. So you can, when it comes to prompt engineering, because AI is trained on your human data, these tech companies, feed AI your human data. So people even get paid to train AI models, actually, as a skilled lawyer or skilled model, yes, or a fashionista, or someone in healthcare, be you a medical doctor, a caterer, whatever it is, people get paid to train AI models. So when you speak to AI, it will draw from that person's lived experience, that particular training data, and that's what it's going to give you. So you don't just say, I want to draft this, give me this. The less your output, the less claims you have, the less your input, rather, the less claims you have over that AI output. We'll get to that when we talk about protections, when we talk about copyright and ownership, because the less you give to AI when you're trying to prompt it and get a result out of it, the less you can actually own or copyright that output, that AI content. Next slide, please. Please, next slide. Okay. This is just to draw a contrast, because it seems like a lot of people hear about this, but to be able to take your time to sit down and look at the realities of what you could actually do before AI and what you can actually do with AI is not what people do more often, or people don't do that more often than not, right? So this is just a random example. These are just examples. In fact, very practical. Copywriting, design, video. We have ChatGPT, we have Canva, Midjourney, we have CapCut, and all in minutes, to be very frank. Some even, they're all in minutes, right? So before you'd have hired a writer, but now you can just tell what you want to ChatGPT, prompt it with little tweaks here and there, give it the lived experience of that writer with 5 years experience, an award-winning Grammy holder. If you're trying to write for a movie, a designer, just give it that lived experience, because AI operates on that trained data. So it's going to draw from that trained data and give you the outputs. Next slide, please. Okay. Business operations automation. Precisely. This is also usage. We are still talking about usage. We're still talking about creation. What you can do with AI, what AI can do for you as a tool, not as your brain, not as your intelligence, right? So this is a practical example for a business operations automation, right? Maybe if you were running, let me use the examples here. Yes, if you're running a healthcare, if you're running a hospital, even works for hospital. I think I spoke recently with a doctor that was telling me about someone close to her that was trying to use AI to develop an app that is going to connect, that's going to diagnose you, one, and it's going to connect you with clinics. So you can book on the app, and then when you get to the clinics, you're just going to get, they're going to pay attention to you first. right? Instead of you to sit down, try to fill forms and do all of that. So these are the things that AI makes easier. However, even with this example I gave to you, I can see the many risks involved, because merely setting that up, even ChatGPT will tell you, is there in the fine print. It will tell you ChatGPT makes mistakes. ChatGPT is AI, it is not human. ChatGPT makes mistakes. So who is going to be held responsible when they create that kind of thing and they give you a wrong diagnosis? Who is going to be held responsible? Because they probably set it up with the right tools. But at the end of the day, like I said, AI is a tool. There's a whole lot of reliance on AI that is very much unnecessary. Because as much as it's very intelligent, because it is artificial intelligence, it is still artificial. It is still synthetic. It is still a tool. So the step one here is customer inquiry received. Just like our basic automation we do with tools like ManyChat or ReplyRush for social media platform. But this is different because it's business operations proper. But using that as an example, right? For automated messages, being able to reach out, speak to your clients without being there, without having to use your phone and respond to 1, 2, 3 clients. You're facing real life matters that AI cannot face for you. Real life interactions, the planning, the vision, the strategic thinking, the real networking and interactions with people, all that AI cannot do that for you, right? Just like I saw a controversy a few days ago on social media, the person was talking down on AI about how AI can't do anything for you. And there was a very good argument in the comment section. And the person made a valid point. For a lawyer, because she was a lawyer, for a lawyer, definitely AI cannot enter appearance for you in court. And someone tried to do this in the US. He brought his laptop. And he faced his laptop to the judge. And he pressed play for his AI avatar lawyer to represent him. And the judge took it as an insult. And let's just say it didn't end well for him. But just to let you know what people are thinking, because I'm pretty sure he's not the only one that could think in that likeness. So AI can definitely not enter appearance for you in court. AI cannot do your networking with your clients. But things like this that will save you time, AI can certainly do for you. Step 2, AI answers common questions instantly. Yes, frequently asked questions. AI can handle your FAQs because you fed it the data about your business. As I just said this, I just had another risk. But we're going to get to protections and all the risks that come with AI is going to come out. You fed it your business information, right? And it's going to answer all the frequently asked questions that come instantly. Schedule appointments, send reminders, collect customer information automatically. Exactly. Data privacy comes in here. Let's move on, please, to the next slide. Perfect. I won't say much on this. We've addressed this very much. Time saved, productivity and operations plus lowered barriers, content and entrepreneurship equals infinite scale. So I think it's very evident what AI can do for you. People just need to stop thinking that it is some kind of illusion. I don't know why something that is very glaring can still look and present like an illusion to some people. AI removes the friction of execution, leaving you solely in charge of strategy and vision. You have more time. What are you now doing with that time? Strategy, vision, networking. There's a whole lot. You can even use that time to get more briefs, as the case may be, right? More interactions, more jobs. That time that you'd have used on one job, you can use it and do a whole lot more. Next slide, please. So finally, under creation, AI helps you create and earn faster, but without legal and ethical protection, you are building on shaky ground. I think with everything that I've stated in terms of creation, there's always the back end of it. There's always the AI can do this for you, but this is involved. AI can do this for you, but this is involved. But it's the same way with every other philosophy, every other system, every other structure. The moment it gets regulated, we're going to get to regulation anyway. The moment it gets regulated, then there's a stronger ground to stand upon. But in the meantime, while regulation is still being projected, looked into, works on, especially in Africa, there are certain things that we'll be able to do in order to help regulate our AI-generated content, AI-powered businesses, and we're going to get to that when we get to protections. So that's all for creation. If you have any questions, any areas you want us to still speak on in terms of creation, just put it in the chat so that we can address it briefly and move on. Any questions in terms of what do you want to understand about AI in terms of voice cloning, deep fakes? What are you curious about? We've talked about creation, what AI can do for you. If you're a content creator, if you're writing, if you're doing deep thinking, if you need data of your ancestors that probably put it somewhere in the cloud, AI has been fed their data. AI has been fed their data. Hypothetical ancestors, of course. AI has been fed their data. So you can prompt engineer it into retrieving that data for you to use it and get your desired output. Of course, with a little tweaks here and there, because using raw AI output, it will give you your desired results still. However, if everybody has access to the same tools, everybody has access to the same information. Perfect. If everybody has access to the same tools, everybody has access to the same information, and you build on the same tools and information, I think that's a really shaky ground, a very shaky ground. So let me see what we have in the chat. Okay, is there any other one so that we can just address everything at once? And also, before we move on to monetization and protection, if there's anything, like just state it clearly so that we'll be able to address all of these areas. Okay, so in the absence of any, okay. Precisely. Yes, that's a very fabulous comment. So back to the question, agentic AI. Okay, okay, yes, actually. I'm pretty sure it's in the works if it's not already available. I think Midjourney deals a whole lot with generation, creative AI. Those are those type of tools. Okay, so agentic AI. When I talked about business infrastructure, business operations, entrepreneurship, I think it comes into play mostly there. And one tool that has become quite strong in that aspect, amongst others, is Claude. Claude has been able to develop their model. This is not a paid partnership. Claude has been able to develop their model in such a way that not only can you integrate it with other apps for you to tell it what you need to do, and it does it for you. Like, it has become an agent. It has a certain kind of synthetic subconscious to be able to operate your ecosystem because you fed it details of your business. And our very intelligent next speaker is going to also expand on this a whole lot too for us, because you fed it your business infrastructure, right? AI is going to be able to work for you. It now works for you in your absence. That is agentic AI. The synthetic intelligence version of you, in a sense, to run your business, an ecosystem that can run your business in your absence. Okay, so let's quickly move on. Let's quickly move on to the next, monetization. Monetization. The next document. The next document on monetization. Meanwhile, while we are waiting for the next document on monetization, not to eat up too much into our time, because we've already done that a whole lot. Merely speaking about how AI can help you, you can already see how you can monetize it. For example, when we talked about the business infrastructure, the entrepreneurs and the business operations automation, when we talked about that aspect. Okay, slide this up. Okay, anyways, like I was saying, one topmost example or one chain or class of people that have been profiting a whole lot from AI, I'm sure you can already guess, are the AI content creators. Because it came with a hype, right? People were stunned that they can create a version of themselves that can do, stay, dress, wear, live a life, a fantasy life that they cannot exactly take a hold of, right? So the content creators have been able to do that by monetizing, creating pages, maybe storytelling, and then monetizing those pages. That's on the one part. Some of them have turned into prompt, prompt libraries, right? They've turned that content creation, not only doing that and monetizing their pages, but they've also turned that to selling their prompts, right? You can generate an image, create something amazing looking that people would like to have, something wild, maybe with a celebrity's face, something that looks fabulous, that will take you from your regular life to something that you would like, right? And sell those prompts. A lot of people start out by doing it for free. And when they garner enough followers, enough views, and then they start packaging it for sale, which is something that each and every one of us can do. So I'm not spoiling their business because, I mean, they were wise enough to see the opportunity in it while people were still trying to catch up with whether or not they're interested in AI. But that's one aspect of it. Please, can we enter the first slide? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, it's probably in the next slide, but let's just look into it as well here. So we're talking about the content creators being able to profit from this, creating prompt libraries. Next slide, please. Sorry. Exactly. Thank you so much. The monetization spectrum, right? So from services to consulting to education, digital products, these are all and more of ways to monetize your AI. We've talked about the people that do it creatively in terms of content creation, right? And also services, ads, content creation wears a whole lot with this new wave of AI, because even if you're not doing content creation proper, you can use AI generated content to advertise your business. Because of the hype around it now, people are likely to feed into it because of that, simply the hype around the fact that it is AI. People are likely to feed into your business advert, right? So for services, right? Consultation, strategy, corporate advisory, safety frameworks, education, workshops, cohort programs, paid webinars. I want to say, for example, what we are doing now, but this is not a paid webinar. Digital products. Okay, yes. This is also, I think after content creators, digital products come next because they fall into the order. The content creators lean on the digital products because even those content creators, they'll tell you if you want to learn how to create videos like this, click this link and you're gonna see a link to, maybe their class or maybe a blueprint, something that your course, something that you're gonna need to pay for in order to learn how to create these AI generated content as well. Let's move to the next slide, please. Sorry, can you just go to the next slide as well? Okay. All right. This already takes us into protection, which is our last segment. But we've not, I think, please, can you go back to the last slide? Okay. Let's just go right into protections. We'll come back to monetization. However, we've already touched on it a little bit, but let's just go right into protections. Right. So talking about protections, the fact that one thing is paramount, right? When it comes to protecting your AI content, your AI brand, whatever it is that you built with AI, is the fact that you have to remember that this same tool, this same information is available to everyone. I think one thing that brands and tech companies started doing in this 2026 is to increase the fees. A lot of these tools were free when it started out. You know that it's always like that. That is a strategy. It's a business strategy, right? So they were free when they came out, and then all of a sudden, the next thing they started putting up paywalls for you to be able to access them. So especially with this 2026, it saw a lot of these brands and these tools go up with paywalls. One that was really popular that suffered that a lot was Grok, right? Grok on the one part suffered that, or let's say benefited from that. We also suffer that in the sense that when we talk about brand identity and digital threats, I think Grok was one of those tech companies that faced a lot of suits, right? Because people were going out of their way to create nude. It's a glitch. Please, if you can hear me, just let me know. Just facing a mild interruption. Just let me know in the chat, please.
We can hear you clearly.
Okay. And can you see my video, please?
No.
Can you see it now, please?
Yeah.
Okay. So brand identity and digital threats. Apologies for the interruption. Now, When we talk about AI use, so in order not to take too much of our time, I cannot tell the precise reason for the glitch at this point in time, so I'm just going to call up the next speaker because we just have monetization and protections left to get into the next session of this program so that we can move on and not. So please, can you kindly put up the profile of the next speaker so that we can get into that? Can I get the profile of the next speaker so that we can get into that? Okay, so coming up is our amazing next speaker, Heaven Eden, the Executive Director of Create Eden Limited, an AI product manager. Heaven Eden is a UK-based AI product manager, business transformation strategist, and executive director of Create Eden Limited. She specializes in helping organizations design scalable systems that combine human intelligence, operational excellence, and artificial intelligence. So right now, Heaven will reveal to us how forward-thinking businesses are leveraging AI not merely as a tool, but as the foundation of intelligent business systems that improve workflow efficiency, empower teams, and create scalable competitive advantages. Basically, she's going to help us break down how we can build sustainable business ecosystems with AI. So I need us to give a warm and hot welcome as we have our next speaker come up and share with us not just how to use AI, but how to build sustainable systems around it.
Hello, everyone. All right, so good evening, everyone. Good evening. I want to see excitement in the chat. I want to see lots of excitement in the chat. I want to know that we're happy being here tonight to learn more about AI, how to use AI in our businesses, to build ecosystems, to create while protecting it, AI beyond the hype. So I won't be here for long. I'll just be here to enable you think in a way that you're able to incorporate AI through your systems, not just as a tool, but as a partner, okay? As a staff, if you may call it. Okay, I tried to make sure I wasn't echoing anymore so we can get right into it. It's my slide. All right, so let's get right into it. I'm Heaven Eden, and it's beautiful to meet you all. Let me see what's going on in the chat before we begin. I'm seeing some fire emojis. Amazing. We're hyped up. We're ready. Good evening. All right, let's go. So tonight, or for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be talking about architecting AI-powered business ecosystems. We'll be looking at how do you think when you're using AI? How do you use AI, not just as a tool now to create, but to actually build businesses that actually scale continuously? Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Now, as you may know it, how many of you has used ChatGPT? I know that's a very plain question, but as simple as it may sound, trust me, not everyone has used it. So how many of you has used ChatGPT? How many of you has used Cloud? How many of you have used Gemini? Like as many tools as you've used, just list them in the chat, put them in the chat. If you've used Perplexity, if you've used DeepSeek, whichever tool or AI tool you've used, put it in the chat. I want to see how familiar we are with these tools. What range of tools do we use in this class? Let's see it. What tools have you used? Do you use Midjourney? Do you use Notebook LM? Do you use HeyGen? What tools are you using? Put them in the chat. Okay, so Ebiwari said ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud. Daniel Roland said ChatGPT, Gamma. Okay. Let's put in the chat. What tools are we using? Mary Smart said ChatGPT, Gemini, Meta AI. That's okay. Mel said ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud. Let's keep it coming, guys. Let's see. Best download to use. It doesn't cover my. Mel said, yeah, Cloud, still learning it. Okay. Matthew said, I'm not using this cam. Matthew said, ChatGPT, Cloud, Gemini, DeepSeek. Quincy said, Cloud, Grok, still learning it. Cool, that's enough for now. So most of you are already using these tools, okay? You're using it to write, you're using it to create pictures, you're using it to generate social media captions, beautiful. But using these tools, using these AI platforms as just a tool is like using Cristiano Ronaldo. For you that might not be a Cristiano Ronaldo fan, maybe Messi, right? Like using Messi and using him to like play what's silly game? To play drafts, okay? Or using it to carry chairs, to do a basic simple tasks, okay? That's what it's like when you use AI just as a tool. It's going to save you 2 hours a week, 4 hours a week, amazing. But it's a trap because the people who are creating these platforms, they created it with an ecosystem in mind already. And we'll come into that, what an ecosystem means and all that. So your goal after today, your goal after this class is to use AI as an ecosystem builder. Okay. But before you build an ecosystem, you even need to know what an ecosystem is. You need to understand it. You need to think in terms of ecosystems. Now, for example, let's say you're someone who runs a restaurant, yeah? How would the day-to-day running of your restaurant be like? First of all, you're going to make food. There's the back end, the kitchen, the cooks, the chefs, the cleaners, the people who will be, understanding the inventory, all of that going on. The finance, giving money to go buy stuff in the market. All of that is going on. And then there's the front end where customers come in, they like the ambience, they like the customer service, they like the chairs, the interior, they like what you look like, they like how people associate with your restaurants. They come in, they place an order, or even if they don't come in, they place an order from wherever they are. And then, the order goes into the front desk, they process it, they go to the kitchen brings it out for you. That's an ecosystem. Okay. So when you talk about ecosystem, it's easy to think that ecosystem is up there, but ecosystem is in everything you do, the basics. But now, how can you use AI to now navigate and integrate all of these things? How can you use AI to connect your customers, to unify your products, to understand your data, to create continuous value? That's what we're here to understand, to run your operations. Okay. So we'll be going on from there. So I want to know what fields or what industries you're in. You can put it in the chat. I think I've seen some people mention they're in real estate. I've seen some people mention they're in healthcare. I've seen some people mention a couple of, I think some lawyers are here as well. And that's not surprising. So we're going to use you all as examples, okay, on how this works. So there's something called the business logic. That's the basic steps your business goes through. Okay, we also have entertainment and events. That's okay. So there's something we call the business logic. That's the basic steps your business, goes through to fulfill a service or to create a product or to deliver a product. Okay. And the traditional business logic as we know it or as we knew it before this AI age, right? Because we're in the AI age now, was that you have a customer, the customer interacts with the staff, goes around making sure that the service is delivered. And then in exchange for money, there's revenue in the business. Okay. It was quite clear. It was quite simple. It was quite linear, but it was quite fragile as well because it depended on people. It depended on if the staff was full of integrity or not. It depended on if the staff was competent or not. There were loads and loads of bottlenecks. Okay. And if the staff stops, or even if the founder dies in a way, most times when it's not an established firm, the business slows down, right? But in an AI-powered ecosystem, this skill can happen, especially when you've set up this business ecosystem with AI. This scaling, this business can happen, can continuously, flow, generates income, even with minimal human inputs. And in a way, I know most of us will say, oh, that's a bad thing. All happened to our jobs, all happened to people who this is how they had their source of living. How many of you have that fear of AI would take your jobs? Put it in the chat. If you've had the fear that AI would take jobs in the next 30, 50 years, there won't be jobs for you, put it in the chat. I want to see how many people are scared. Maybe the fear was what drove you to attend this class. That's fine. Or you just want to see how to make money with it, that's fine. But if you've thought or for once imagine that AI would take your jobs, you'll put it in the chat. I want to see how many of us have had that thought. Say some jobs, but not my job. Okay, you can never really tell. All right, let's have it. How many of you have felt that AI will take your jobs? Like the host said already, this is going to be a very, very interactive class. I can't really know what's going on. I can't know how best to help or to deliver the class if I don't know what you're doing, if I don't know how you see AI yet. So Quincy said, I've had that thought. Okay. The truth is, AI won't take your job. I know we've heard this before, but AI won't take your job. It's a person using AI that will take your job. That's it. Right? So previously in a normal traditional business, you have several layers, several people go through several steps to create a business output. But now you can have one person and a couple of AI employees called AI agents, right? And that one person is managing all these AI agents to deliver this business outcome. So there's still someone, there's still a manager, but this person is now harnessing AI. This person is now harnessing these tools, bringing these tools together as employees, as what we call agents, where one AI is all for marketing, one AI is all about customer interaction, customer service, one AI is all around operations, one AI is all around branding, one AI is your think tank, and then a human is coordinating all of these AI agents. So it's that human you want to be, okay? Because in as much as AI would take jobs, in as much as AI would take, lots of industries, to be fair, to take over industries, taking over several industries across healthcare, law, even engineering that needs you to build physically. There are so many aspects of it, maybe the architecture, the calculations that AI is now simulating. So you want to be that person who can manage all of these AI agents, who can manage all of these AI tools to create business outcomes, okay? And that is what an AI-powered ecosystem is. So first is first, how is this AI-powered business ecosystem built? How does it work? How does it think? So like she said, the host, Hills, she mentioned that it's all about data. Why we can even have AI today is because there's lots of data out there. Billions of data we generate as human beings every single day. Your click, your purchases, your swiping, all of it is data. Your interest, the things you open, all of it is data. You're feeding the internet, you're feeding the algorithm, your likes, your preferences, your behavior, is understanding who you are as a person, and is doing that across over 7 billion people. So one person could be generating over 1 billion data every day. They multiply 1 billion times 7 billion people every day, over 2 days, over a week, over a month. Imagine what happens. So much data is available. And now what they've done with AI is that they're able to simulate and synthesize this data to give us feedback. So AI is simply predicting our behaviors. AI is simply synthesizing our human intelligence and giving it back to us. So this data is feeding into intelligence that we can now use to automate, because automation is simply what? You being able to create repetitive tasks consistently, where AI is being handed over certain tasks, certain jobs, and is able to do it repetitively, creating value, providing more data that now also goes back to feed more intelligence into the system, and now also goes on to create better automation. So it's a plug and play system. Okay. So the system learns, it reinforces this learning, it increases your value, it increases your customer outcomes, and it goes back and it still improves the intelligence all over again. And before now, you might have to have had a data analyst, a business analyst to come in and, synthesize this data manually, create dashboards and all that. But when you create an AI model in a business, for example, not that it must be created, but when you're able to do maybe a simple automation or a simple AI model, it's able to feed off this data by itself, learn from what is happening within your business, and keep synthesizing that data. So this is how an AI power system works. Okay. And so how can you apply it? How do you operate an ecosystem in a very simple way? How do you think in terms of ecosystems and include AI into this ecosystem? Okay. So for example, I think we have someone who said, let me see the brands that we said we have, or the industries we said we have. Entertainment and events. Cool. So the person who is into entertainment and events, like what does your operations look like? Just give us something in the chat so we can apply this anatomy to what you do. Okay. So let me break this down first of all. So for every business, you would have an input. You might either have a customer, a student, a patient, someone who is entering into your system, who is entering into your business, someone who is making an inquiry. Okay. That person, when they make that inquiry, or when they make that interaction with your business, they're going to provide data. Okay. That data they provide, either maybe through even a call, like even a request, even their phone numbers, their emails, all of this will be data. When this data is captured and structured, how AI now comes in is that you're able to impute or plug in that data into your model. Okay. And now this AI model is now able to analyze, is now able to help you. Either there's something we call RAG, where it's able to go back into your system to help it retrieve the information that either the customer, the patient, the student, whatever is asking for, makes a decision even, because you would have created systems in such a way that if, you know how conditions work, right? If this happens, then do that. So when you set up these systems in that manner, you're able to now have this AI make decisions based on the input or the information that was given by the client, customer, patient, as the case may be. And then it now carries out an action. If this, then that. So that then is an action. Okay. That now becomes either a message response, a retrieval of information from their database. It can be a recommendation. It can be an automated task carried out. And then now you have a business outcome being fulfilled without human intervention, because the AI model has already been trained. Okay. So the person who put, I think Daniel was the one who put entertainment and events. Can you kindly let us know how operations will look like in your business? Or I'll just use my examples. All right, moving on. How would this look uh, in a real case scenario? We'll see that. But before then, I want you to think of AI integration in 4 layers, because with AI, there are so many layers to it. You can't just put in everything all at once. Okay, you need to understand where you are in your journey, where you are in your business, where you are in whatever you're building, and then gradually include or put in these layers into your business. Okay, so the first one is the intelligence layer. Okay, this is where your AI just does the thinking for you. And this is where some of you are not even still in this layer. You might think you're here because you use ChatGPT, you use cloud. But when we talk about intelligence layer, this is where AI is transforming raw data into actionable insights. Okay, for example, a patient makes a request, or how can I know my appointment date? Okay, I want to check in to be sure my appointment is still so date. And then they make that request through a system that's been created by maybe a hospital, a diagnostic center, whatever, right? And when they make that inquiry through the business's AI or the hospital's AI, it goes back into their system, it goes back into their database, and it retrieves that information and says, oh, from our system, we can see that so and so date and time has been, reserved for you. Please do make sure to come early or to come at your allocated time. Whereas if this person wanted to probably reach the hospital admin or the hospital receptionist, they might call and they wouldn't get a response. There might even be network issues. The call might not go through. It might go to voicemail. Okay. Or there might be feedback that would not really align with the database. They might make mistakes. Human error might come in. Okay. But with this intelligence layer, it's able to just give you raw feedback, synthesize that raw feedback, and give you the information you need in a seamless way. Okay. Then the second layer, you have the automation layer. This is where you're not just operating as one person anymore, or your AI is not just being a customer assistant or an AI virtual assistant. No. This is where you now begin to join 2, 3, or more, 4 different systems, tools. And when this system is done, it transfers to the next tool, it transfers it to the next tool, and you're automating a complete software system. Okay, so this is where we say AI begins to act for you. This is what we call agents. Okay, AI begins to make decisions and act for you. All right, when it comes to regulations and all of that, we have the people that will take care of it, our lawyers in the house. But I'm just going to show you how you start thinking of how to incorporate AI into what you do. Okay, so for example, when it came to intelligence layer, it was just a question and an answer, right? But at this automation layer, what you have is, first of all, that data is collected, okay? When that data is collected, it's put into, the AI now puts it into the appropriate Excel sheet or Excel document. You don't have to do that manually. It feeds the Excel sheet, okay? So you're having your CRM being filled up with leads every day by your AI automatically. And then depending on the inquiries, depending on the questions asked, depending on the leads, it could be in terms of leads, it could be in terms of inquiries. Let's say it's a business that's, okay, maybe you run ads, okay, with a certain automated AI system, right? So when you run these ads, it categorizes people into different customer segments. This AI, based on the information, maybe there was a form that was, given for these people to fill. Then it will categorize these people based on customer segments. And then based on their inquiry, that's the first step. It can now go on to create specific, maybe proposals or roadmaps for these clients to achieve the goals based on the inquiries that they've made. And then it will now still go on again to give the feedback to these customers or these clients as an email without any human interaction. This is what we call the automation layer. Okay, so you're having several steps being carried out in between without the need of a human being because you've already set up the system, you've already automated it. You run an ad, it took information, it categorizes them into different customer segments. Based on this customer segment and this user needs, it takes it, it's compares it based on the information or the services that you can provide to this client. It creates a proposal. Probably the place where you can also now bring in maybe a human interaction is where you say, okay, approve or decline. Okay, so it can even still feed the system in such a way that it will now still create another sheet where you can approve or decline what it has created. And all you need to do is to click approve and then it sends it to the client, or where you say, oh, improve, and then it improves on it. Or you say decline, and then it goes back to the drawing board to generate something better for the client. This is an automation layer. How many of you think you can use this in your business or in your brand? How would you apply it? Put it in the chat, let me know. Let me see if I've gotten a response yet. Attendees buys tickets, attends an event. Beautiful. Okay. So we can also apply this. So how many of you will be able to apply this automation, this basic automation in your business, especially with lead generation? Because I want to believe that there are business-minded people in this class or in this webinar tonight. How many of you guys? All right, so while we're waiting for responses, I'll go on to the third layer, which is the products layer, okay? So this is where the AI is not just an automation or a set of tasks being, carried out anymore automatically or in an automated manner. This is where it becomes a product, okay? AI, it fuels your product. And so parts of these products now can customers can engage with your services, can engage with your app, your SaaS platform, and then they're engaging with AI through the system. And then the last one is your ecosystem layer, where you're connecting your customers, your partners, your platforms, all of them, everything is connected now. Everything is integrated. Your partners have the way they engage with you with using AI. Your customers have how they engage with you using AI. The platform as well is yours. You've built it. This is now a fully fledged AI ecosystem. So one thing I want you to do, one in-class assignment I want you to do is right now, go to ChatGPT, okay? Go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, based on maybe, I think for the person who said they're into entertainment and they said attends, now ask AI, right? Because even AI understands how it works as an ecosystem. So you can always even prompt it, but you need to know what to prompt. You need to know what you're looking out for. And that's what this class is helping you do. It's helping you think in terms of ecosystems now and not just as a tool. Okay, so you can go to your ChatGPT, your cloud right now, based on your business. Maybe the entertainment person can do this as well for theirs. And then you can ask AI, if you were operating as an intelligence layer for my brand, how would you think? What will you do for me? Then ask it again, if you were operating at an automation layer, what? My sharing just ended. Okay. Please forgive me, I'm trying to get my slides back up. So we can do this quick classwork while I'm trying to get my slides back up. So ask it, how would you help me in my business if we're operating at an intelligent layer? or if we're operating versus if we're operating as an automation layer, versus as a product layer, versus as an ecosystem layer. So do that and put your responses, ChatGPT or Cloud, or whatever platform you use, and put the responses in the chat, and you would see the difference. And you'll see that some of you have been operating as just probably as an intelligent layer or just maybe as a tool. Trying to get my slides back up. I want to see your responses in the chat, guys. Let's know that we are active here. This is a very, very engaging class. It's supposed to be a practical class. I don't want you just coming here thinking that you know how to think like an ecosystem builder and you go back home and not able to do anything. At least I want you to see the differences at these different layers. Can we have at least one person implement this and put it in the chat? Prompt it to give you a response on how it operates as an intelligent layer, as an automation layer, as a product layer, and as an ecosystem layer. Can we have the responses in the chat, please? I want to round up in the next 15 minutes, so I really need us to have this practical example before I show you the examples I have. Okay, we have a response. I think we have a response. Beautiful. Now let's analyze this together. That's okay if we shortened it. Now, with respect to Generola's entertainment business or in the industry she's in, I don't know, what platform did you use? So it's saying that at an intelligence layer, it's going to focus on what the audience wants, what to build, what the opportunities are, what's working, what's not, okay? At the product layer, it's going to create things people buy. No, it's still being general. It's not addressed, it's not aligned to your entertainment space, to be fair. This is a general response. It's supposed to be with respect to your business or to your industry. So let me give a bit of example with this industry, okay? So the intelligence layer might be, it would understand the clients and what kind of events they want to attend, okay? It would predict based on the inputs they give, what kind of events they would want to, be at, when, where, what's the ambience. And so with that information, you can go on to even create better experiences, okay? Yes, it's still kind of what it said here, but it didn't just specify it. So yes, it can understand what the audience wants. It can know what events you can create next. Cool. At a product layer, it can actually create what people buy, but beyond that, it can actually create experiences. For example, before people go onto a show, right? Before people come to your event, it can give them a simulation of what that event looks like. It can give them a 5D experience, a 9D experience of what that event looks like, a product. And now this product in the event industry will be very, trust me, people want to see what, this event would feel like before they come. They just don't want to, oh, people are inviting me to an event and then they want to show up. No. They would like to see it because so many events are coming up every other day. They want to know, okay, is this something I want to be at? What will they look like? So imagine creating a product now in your industry, entertainment events industry, that people can see a simulation. I think real estate has done this to an extent, where people can see the house that they want to buy. And trust me, it was very, very made possible because of AI. Right. So where people can see, okay, this event, this is what it will look like. I can attend it. Oh, this event, I don't think I can attend it. It's not my vibe. So a product like this would sell really greatly if it's created. So that's a product layer. An automation layer, which I think it skipped. I'm not sure it mentioned automation layer here. An automation layer will look like this. A customer pays for a ticket, and then there is a countdown that is created. I think there's something around email automation already, but beyond email automations, okay, the clients can be given an experience where every probably 2 weeks or 3 days or 4 days before the event, there's not just a countdown, but there is a little drop down of the things that they would experience just to water, up their tests before they come for this event. And it's fully automated. Once they buy the tickets, it follows that sequence. And this is the experience they have before they now finally show up at the event. Probably you can even make it that, oh, there's even something incorporated where something is delivered to their doorstep, probably a hat, a jacket, a polo, all of that can be part of the experience before they now show up. This is now what we call an automation layer. And this is just off my head. Imagine you now use ChatGPT to actually create something, or you use your cloud to create something. Then an ecosystem layer will look like events with community. Yeah, the possibilities are endless, okay? So now let me go to my slides and show you examples of what this will look across order. I just wanted to have someone in the class, share with us what it showed them. Now we can go back to my slides. Now, in a healthcare ecosystem, this is what it will look like. Okay, so a client shows up on your platform, trying to understand their symptoms, trying to, probably, there are also AI diagnostic platforms now, right? So AI asks you questions, gathers your symptoms, all of that, gets your info, then it goes on to, either book you, schedule you, or it can even give you a brief understanding of what your diagnosis can be like based on the system or the information that is already being fed by the builders of that AI model. Okay, then it can now go on to also schedule, give you a doctor that is more likely to understand what's wrong with you, because different doctors have different specialties. So it's not just going to throw you to the wind. Because when you go to a hospital, right, most times they carry out several tests trying to know what's wrong with you. This doctor would hear, okay, run this test, run this test, run that test. But with AI, it can give you a sharper response and give you, okay, based on these things you've said, this is the best approach. Go to this doctor, do this test, making it as seamless as possible. So this is what it would look like just at inquiry level and a scheduling level, okay? Then it can now go on at the consultation level, where when you're interacting with a doctor, and this is most likely from a doctor or a physician perspective, where AI will record the conversation going on. So the doctor doesn't even need to, write or pen down stuff. Okay, there are platforms like that. I don't want to mention them, but Elsevier has one. Elsevier has one, and I came across it and I did a few courses on it sometime early this year. So it's going to automatically record the conversations happening, create notes, even suggest treatments. And then what the doctor now has to do is that, okay, this is what AI is. And obviously, you have to be transparent. There's something we call transparency when it comes to AI, because the patient also needs to know that their information is being collected by the AI. The data is being collected and then being synthesized as well. But the doctor, the physician, the consultant has the final approval to make. Because AI gave you a suggestion or suggested a treatment does not mean that AI can be responsible. You as a human has to be responsible for the AI's outputs. Okay, so the doctor will now take this feedback and be like, okay, this is what AI is suggesting. Oh, it could be better. Yeah, oh, it's true. This medication worked for this person the last time. This is worked better this time based on this symptom that was stated by this particular patient. Okay, so this is an AI ecosystem. Then you can even go on to have your follow-up as well. So this is something that different people could be doing, but now you have AI synthesizing all of this, where you have your healthcare admin, the person scheduling calls, your doctor, all of these people at different stages of the, the patient interaction. AI is enabling the system, okay, even up to the follow-up part of the system, where they're reminding them, oh, you need to take your medication. Probably, possibly, maybe someone who forgets easily, maybe someone who has dementia. And then in the follow-up system is, imputed in such a way that AI reminds them every 10 minutes or every 30 minutes before they finally take their medications. Let's say the first 30 minutes, then when it's 10 minutes, and when it's 5 minutes, and when it's, okay, it's time to take your medication. So that no matter what they are doing, they're not going to forget. At least they have about 3, 4, 5 prompts for them to take their medication if it's someone that forgets easily. Okay, and this is just the healthcare system. If you're enjoying this, let me know in the chat. If you want me to go on to the next example, let me know in the chat. I want to wrap this up as quickly as possible. I want to know that we are here together. Where are the members of this class, please? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. We've just gone through what a healthcare ecosystem would be like. If we're enjoying the class, let me know that you're enjoying it. If you want us to go on to the next ecosystem, what it will look like, let me know. Or I can just skip it if it's not something you're interested in. I want to know that I'm being of value here, and I'm not just bombarding you with information you don't need. I want to know that you're getting information you want to hear. All right, I'm seeing some people say, let's go present, enjoying the class, enjoying every bit of it. Beautiful. Now let's go on to another ecosystem, the real estate ecosystem. Okay, so the client reaches out to your AI real estate ecosystem, okay? And the AI chatbot gets to ask them, oh, where's your preferred location? Oh, what's your budget? Gets to ask them all of these questions. And when it captures this data, it can now go on to qualify them. Okay, oh, this is a hot lead, this person, and then definitely on the back end, there'll be data and information of houses available, location of several houses or lands or properties, as the case may be, in different locations. And then based on that back-end data, it can now give feedback or match, the best recommendations to these clients. Okay. And then go on to now what? Follow up for a sale. All this with AI. All of this is what AI is. That not amazing, guys? I know it might look tough. It might look tough to like implement, but once you understand the steps, the processes, and how to think these things through, you're able to now know where AI can come in. All right. Sorry, I didn't know my cam was off for a minute, but at least you could hear my voice. It's just that I just covering my slides where I've put it, and it's making it very difficult to go through my slides. Hopefully this should be better. Yeah, hopefully this should be better. All right, so I'm seeing lots of excitement in the chat now. I like that. I like that. So let's go on to the next ecosystem. Let's see what we have. Do we have lawyers in the house? Of course we do. So a law firm ecosystem will look like this, and this is just a basic one. You can still define it based because there are so many I think when it comes to law, there are so many areas, right? There's property law, there's civil law, there's so much. But a basic ecosystem will look like this, okay? The client, makes an inquiry, AI collects their details, collects their data, determines how urgent it is, if it's something that it has to immediately act on or not. And it goes on to, review these documents, understand the risks, understand the missing clauses, what are the fine prints, the underlying factors. It goes on to even do research, right, based on probably their years. Probably it's a law firm that is experienced and it has thousands and thousands of, clients, information, right, in their system. And then it goes back and scans all of this information, brings back, summaries for you. And now the lawyer can now focus on the strategy. Okay. The lawyer can now focus on the best strategy to help these clients. This is an AI law firm ecosystem. And one thing you need to understand with an ecosystem is most times when people use AI currently, they use it in silos, right? This person is using AI for this job. This person is using AI for this task. But with an ecosystem, they are all joined, they are all linked. The next is, it's not a siloed system where everybody is individually using AI. No, that's not the case. It's incorporated into the organization system from the onset in such a way that every step that this other AI takes feeds into the next AI. They are linked. Okay, it's already automated, it's already linked. I'm trying to use basic terms as possible so that we don't get into the jargons of AI language. I want it to be as easy to relate to. Okay. And now, for example, maybe if you have a business analyst in the house, it could be that when you're trying to discover a client or you discover a product or discover what is the services that your client needs, AI records, the meetings. Even as we're on this call, we already know that AI can now, record conversations, record the meetings, right? That's already very easy to do. But now it's not something that is siloed, like I said. Immediately it's done with the class, immediately it's done with the conversation, immediately it's done with the meeting, with this client, with these stakeholders. It goes into documentation directly, where it now creates the business requirement documents, it's creating user stories, it's creating process maps based on the conversation. Then that also feeds into analysis where it's going on to identify the bottlenecks. Now, the information that is synthesized already in terms of documentation is now coming back and it's checking the risks, it's checking the gaps, it's checking the bottlenecks, trying to poke holes into the probably the solutions that is already given. Okay, this is AI checkmating itself. And then what does BA have to do? All he needs to do is now, okay, this feedback that has been gotten, how can it be better? Will this really work? Was AI really thinking well? And most times we have what we call RAG, right? So it already has a truckload of information about your customers, about your business, its values, its missions, what it provides. So that information now is what AI feeds on. It retrieves that information. Okay. And now it can now 10x either your BA productivity, your lawyer productivity, your healthcare organization productivity, your real estate productivity, as the case may be. We have a few more examples in an e-commerce. How many of us are into e-commerce here? How many of us are into e-commerce in one way or the other? So in an e-commerce store, I think we already see it with the likes of Temu, with the likes of Shein, and all these very popular platforms, even Amazon, right? They've incorporated AI into their system, where AI can even answer questions for you. It can even make recommendations when you interact. It can even predict what you want. Sometimes we even wonder, is it that this AI is getting into our heads? Because we don't even need to say it anymore. Before, when you say it, how many of you had this happen to you? That before maybe you say something and you see it on your TL. Now you don't even need to say it. It's almost as if they're in your thoughts. You just need to think it and you're seeing it on your platform. You're seeing it on an ad coming to you. Exactly. And then it can also even help you not just to predict now what a client wants or the purchases you want to do, or even manage inventory. In e-commerce, it can also still help you recover abandoned carts, where it's automated in such a way that this client or this AI would reach out to you. Oh, you abandoned the cart, you abandoned this. If you get it today, you get it at so and so % off, giving you offers based on your behavior. This is what AI in an e-commerce system looks like. And then when it comes to education or maybe community building, it will look like this, okay? So you want to discover, okay, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to learn, this is what I know now, okay? And AI can enable you, personalize your journey, your learning pathway, help you create, structured. Let's say you want to learn it in 3 months, it can, make it that, okay, if you want to learn it in 3 months, it means you have to learn something every 30 minutes every day. If you want to learn it in 6 months, or what you have to do is to just learn for 2 hours every week. Okay, it can give you a structured, personalized pathway based on where you want to be and where you are at the moment, analyzing these knowledge gaps. Trust me, there are already platforms like this that have incorporated AI to do this. And then it can even go on to engage with you, maybe create competitive interactions, not really gamifying it, but in such a way people are able to see, oh, this person's progress, this is how this person is learning, this is the progress they've made so far, even giving you awards or giving you tokens or giving you something for making progress. All of this is now possible with AI. Okay, so with your permission, if you want me to go on to the next slide, put it in the chat. Please do so. Please move on to the next slide. I'm ready for the next. I'm excited for the next slide. If you want me to move, I won't go on if you're not giving me permission, because I want to know that you're ready to learn. Okay, so I want to see in the chat. You can go on to the next slide. I'm excited. So that I wrap this in the next couple of minutes. With your permission, I'm gonna move forward. All right, so King Priest said, I'm excited for the next slide. So let's keep it going. I want to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. Hopefully, there's still a lot to show, but at least we now understand what it means to incorporate AI into our ecosystems, and we can start thinking from that perspective. Instead of just using it as a tool, singular tool where one person in the office or one person in the organization uses it separately. We can incorporate, we can even build systems and suggest it to our, organizations and tell them, oh, this is the AI ecosystem I think can work in our organization. Can we build it or can we try it? And of course, Dennis Consulting is here to make sure that you're able to implement it as well. Now, 3 zones I want you to think about when it comes to finding the points with which you can incorporate AI, right? The first one is, what do I do repeatedly? So the things you do repeatedly can be automated. Is it answering questions? Is it writing reports? Is it scheduling meetings? You can think of how you can use AI to do this. The next zone is documentation. What's taking too much time? Is it documentation? Is it data entry? Is it research? What takes too much time? And how can I use AI to what? Synthesize this? How can I use AI to optimize this? And the third layer is this, the third zone is, what frustrates your customers? What are the areas your customers have issues with you? Is it slow response time? Is it long waiting time? Is it poor communication? How can you use AI as an enabler and create an ecosystem where it's, very easy and simple to move along? So as you build out your ecosystems, these are the 3 diagnostic triads you want to think about when it comes to your entry points, okay? And these 3 answers are the exact locations where your AI ecosystems will do what? Will begin. Now, for you to implement this, like I said, you can come to Edenis Consulting, or you can still find your way along this AIMS framework, okay? So first things first, like we said, you identify these bottlenecks, like the questions we asked earlier. Okay, the next thing is you integrate. You don't just operate in silos anymore. You link your website to the CRM, you link the CRM to the emails, link to the accounting, where everything is integrated. And platforms like Make.com, oh my God, Make.com and Cloud, they are so powerful. And when you add Zapier, I think you're on a whole different level altogether. So when you integrate using these AI platforms, you can now go on to feed it with your information. So now your AI model is simply AI that's been trained on your business data, on your unique business data. Okay? Your FAQs, your SOPs, your catalogs, all of that. Probably, different jobs you've done before, the proposals, the outputs, all of that is part of the model. And then through this system, your AI can now, with each inputs that comes in, with each inquiry that comes in, it passes through this system that's been now integrated, gets feedback from your RAG or your model, and then it's able to provide support. And this is how you scale. Okay, this is how you scale with AI. I'm moving forward because I want to finish in the next 3 minutes. Now, I know our host today will go on to talk further about monetization, but based on what I've shared so far, right, this is the way you can monetize. You can go now into AI consulting, where you help businesses build the strategies that help them automate these operational bottlenecks based on the things you've learned today. Okay, you can also even create automation agencies where you're actually building these custom workflows for them and integrating these tools for them, right? Or you can even go on to training with AI, like you're getting this training today, training people how to use AI in schools, in agencies, in corporate teams. These are different ways to monetize. AI product management, and this is an area that I love so much, because with AI being able to build websites, being able to build products, the possibilities are now endless. Everybody can now build something. They now need someone who is able to really create something or build a product that is needed. Okay, and this is where the AI product manager comes in, where they don't just build randomly. They build what is needed by the market, things that have financial value, have real business case. And then being an AI product manager, they can build very fast, make corrections very fast, and even deploy as fast as possible. Okay. And lastly, you also have industry-specific solutions, right? Where you can be hyper-specific on a specific industry like healthcare, legal, agri, and all of that, real estate, building a specific software as a service products that your clients can now use. You can even provide as a tool in your business. Okay, so during this AI gold rush, the real wealth is going to those who are selling the tools and those building infrastructure. So this is where you want to be, guys. You want to be among those, God, do you know how much cloud is making on a daily? Do you know how much ChatGPT is making? And now let's leave these platforms. Do you know how much people who own these cloud platforms, the likes of Microsoft, because all of this is on the cloud, all of these tools now, if they're going to be built easily, they're going to be on the cloud. Okay? Now imagine what these platforms are getting by having this infrastructure being built. So in the gold rush, you want to be part of those who are selling the shovels. And these are the 5 ways you can do it. Be among those selling the shovels. You might not be able to create an AWS or Microsoft Azure, all of these cloud platforms. You might not be able to create the next ChatGPT, but you can go around, these 5 monetization pathways. Okay. When it comes to regulation, our next speaker or the host will be speaking about it. So I won't go into that. My last slide is this. In the next 48 hours, okay, this is a challenge for everyone on this call. If you're going to be doing the challenge, I want to see it in the chat. I'm going to be doing this challenge. Put it in the chat. I'm going to be doing this challenge. In the next 48 hours, I want you to do this challenge, okay? Pick one highly repetitive, frustrating process in your business, in your organization. Redesign it using AI, okay? Either as a better workflow, either as an intelligence layer, as a automation layer, at the products layer. It depends on you and what is possible or available to the resources available to you. If you think it's just intelligence layer I can do for now, that's fine. If you think you can go on to automation layer, that's fine. If you think you can even create a fully fledged product, that's fine. So if you think you can create a full ecosystem, that's okay. Right? And then you use AI to do what? Create this system, automate it, piece it together. And then you can also see how much time is saved, or how much work is saved, or how much work is even done when this is what? Integrated using AI. At this point, and in this AI age, and in this AI gold rush, beyond the hype, the question is no longer should I use AI? The question is, how can I build an AI-powered ecosystem before my competitors do? Okay. And with this, I want to say thank you to the host for bringing me to such an interesting conversation on AI. And I would end it here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ma. That was really amazing. I mean, it was so insightful. Kindly put it in the chat. Like, just appreciate our amazing speaker. I'm sure that there's a lot of value that we've gotten from this last session. I'm sure there's a lot of value that we've all gotten from this last session. Just appreciate our amazing speaker. Thank you so much, Ma. So we're going to move on. So we round off totally for the night. At this point, I'm no longer going to speak on monetization because I mean, my boss has done justice. My boss has done justice to it, right? So I'm just going to go on to regulation, and then we'll call up our last and amazing final speaker for the night. If the slides can just go up, and then soon enough, Zoom will be out of here. If there's anything that stuck with you from this last session, just kindly put it in the chat. If it's the assignment, the tasks you're going to go and try, just put it in the chat while we wait. Just put it in the chat. A pointer that you're taking away, your takeaway from beyond AI, beyond the hype so far. Amazing. Okay. Thank you so much, Ma. If we can start from the second slide, let's get it. Okay. Essentially, this entire webinar has focused greatly on these three core pillars, these three distinct disciplines, which is creation, monetization, and protection. So this is what has been the whole backbone behind these three powerful sessions that we have here today. So next slide, please, Ma. Yes. So now when we talk about protections and regulation, they're not the same thing. On the one part, there are two sides of a coin. On the one part, we have protections, and on the other part, we have regulation. Now when we talk about protecting output generally, before we talk about AI output, whatever your creative work, right, your intellectual property, right? Intellectual property generally raises the questions of things like copyrights, things like trademarks, right? So when it comes to AI-generated output, not just content now, not just in terms of images, video clips, who actually owns AI-generated content? If you want to answer this, or if you know the answer to this, you can just put it in the chat. Or if you want to take a guess at it, you can just put it in the chat. Who owns AI-generated content? So it will not take much of our time. Let's just go on and proceed with the session. Now, the only, principle that we can stand on at this point in time, because there are really no field-specific laws for AI at the moment, especially in this part of the country, is the Copyright Act, the US Copyright Act, which gives the only distinction for authorship, for copyright rather, on content generally. To creative authorship, which means that copyright only protects the things that you create originally, the things that you create authentically. It only protects your creative work. Now, how can we tell what you created and what AI created? You give AI an input. You type in prompt. AI does a whole lot of work in between. And then you have your final output. How can you tell at what point exactly was your work your original work and then the AI work? That's a question. And then the next thing that comes in is trademarks. Now, like I said earlier, when everybody has access to the same tools, everyone has access to the same data. It's a whole web, it's a whole cloud. Everyone is pulling left, right, and center. Like a few days ago, I came across a tech company, a startup tech company that was trying to host an AI program. And I saw the tagline, the AI advantage. And I remember trying to study and using AI tools to try to study. That was one of the names that AI suggested for something else I wanted to do, not even a webinar. So the same suggestions that AI is giving you is the same suggestions AI is giving somebody else. So if you decide to take one of those suggestions and another person somewhere else decides to take one of those suggestions, two people can be having for your business infrastructure. Two people can be having one blueprint for the same business, because at the end of the day, they were doing something AI related, and I was studying for something AI related. So when we all have the same information, we all have the same data, who actually owns that AI generated work? Yes, please. So in a world where anything can be generated instantly, legal ownership and trust becomes your most scarce and valuable assets. Precisely. When we talk about ownership, that is where all these things come into play. Intellectual property, digital rights, copyright, trademarks, that's where all these things come into play. Now, speaking precisely on digital rights and digital identity protection, it comes into play more when we talk about generative AI. When we talk about creative AI, the likes of voice cloning, the likes of deep fakes. I mean, it takes less than 3 minutes for anybody. You don't need to have a whole recording or do a re-recording or do a retake. You don't even need to give someone your permission. They can just hear your voice online, take a piece of it and put it into the AI tool, and they have your voice. And that alone tells a whole lot about the risk involved in the tools that we have at our beck and call in this AI gold rush. So can we have the next slide, please? Okay. So human judgment is the only currency the law currently recognizes. I established this previously while stating that the only law that stands as a backbone to protect your work right now is the US Copyright Act. Nigeria has no few specific laws for this. Even a lot of countries, a lot of other European countries, far and wide globally, they are still in the process of making laws. However, there are certain acts that have been enacted, which I will get to, right? But right now, generally, in terms of copywriting AI-generated work, who can own it, who can claim ownership over it, has only been done by the US Copyright Act. And this is what it says. Prompt, the equation here says, prompt plus raw AI output equals no legal authorship. Then your AI output plus human arrangement and edit equals a secured copyright. This essentially means exactly what it says here. You give it your inputs, you give a prompt, you give it your direction, rather, this is what I want to produce. And then AI does its work. And you take it like that and you use it. That is the raw AI output. You have no legal authorship over it. The authorship only protects your original creative work. So AI output plus your human arrangement and edits, your prompting, and then you arrange it. You get the output and then you arrange it. At that point, you begin to have something to stand on in terms of copyright. So your creator's defense. The defense can be, because like I said, a lot of people have the same access to the same tools. Somebody can have the AI advantage somewhere, another person can have the AI advantage somewhere. Who now owns this name, this trademark, this brand name, as the case may be, as the AI advantage? This can be your creator's defense. You keep version histories, you save drafts, you document your creative contribution. This is your creator's defense. Next slide, please, Ma. Okay, this shows us a step-by-step on how to actually go about trademarking, but let's move on to the next slide. Your digital likeness is a high value, under-defended asset. Yes, precisely. It's just like what I said. your voice, your face, everything. This falls under likeness rights, your digital identity, your digital footprint. I think it was not so long ago that even one of our speakers, the law preacher, made a post. Someone used her face in a video. I don't think they use the audio. They use her face, and they were trying to make money off her, obviously, right, to promote their business or whatever. That one is on the one part, but it's the same crime. This one, not only are they using your face, they are using your voice. They've taken your entire digital identity, your digital footprint, and using it to fund whatever it is that they may be funding. Obviously, it cannot be for something positive. So what happens? What are the laws? What are the protections when this, in fact, is already happening? What's the safety net? So for now, what the US federal law provides, it provides the Take It Down Act, and this was enacted in May 2025. It's just very recent. The regulations are still upcoming and very recent, right? So the Take It Down Act federally bans non-consensual intimate imagery. This act was specifically made for the Grok app. I believe that most of us anyways, maybe a large portion of us are familiar because it trended for quite some time about Grok Imagine, which is the AI tool of X by Elon Musk. I don't know if we're familiar with it. If you're familiar with it, kindly put it in the chat. We should be familiar with it. We all know X, we all know Twitter, right? So this was as a result of that. This act was as a result of that, because that's to enable people to be able to make not only realistic images and videos of random individuals, even children, right, but sexual images, right? So this act was enacted at that time and is currently, yes, this act was enacted at that time and is currently in implementation. So the next is the US No Fakes Act, right? It's currently pending, right? It aims to protect voice and likeness against unauthorized AI digital replicas, right? And then the next is the EU ban. The next is the EU ban, and it takes effect from December 2026. It places bans on specific harmful deepfake generation tools. Okay, they're all very much similar because it's the same field they are regulating, right? Deepfake, like I said, okay, thank you so much. You're familiar with it. So deepfakes, like I said, are highly or hyper, these are the languages, right? Hyper realistic images, videos of persons. So the next slide, please. The final phrase there, anyway, said that the law is a patchwork. This means that the law is still a work in progress. They're either regulating one side or the other as the risks get higher and higher, right? As the Grok, let's say, scenario, right, as it came into play, as there was a spotlight on it, they had to make a regulation because people came up, it was a whole thing, right? So the next is the asymmetrical threat of cloned audio requires zero physical breach. Yes. So this means exactly what I established previously. It takes, okay, this even says 3 seconds, which is very much accurate. I was even going for minutes, not even up to a minute, just merely hearing the voice. That's why we have so many misinformation, around. I think the last one I heard was Tinubu and the elections. I heard a lot of things. So it's moving from celebrities, and it also goes to the average man. And I think the most dangerous one is even the average man, because they can do this to your loved ones. Imagine your loved one getting a call from someone that sounds exactly like you in the middle of the night, saying that they need a certain amount of money and they're stranded. I don't think that the person is going to think twice before they respond to that. So we're actually more vulnerable than we think. So here, there's a certain case in April of 2026, FBI Internet Crime reported that AI-enabled fraud tracked as a distinct crime category. Yes, for the first time in 25 years, over 25 years, they established AI-enabled fraud was tracked down as a distinct crime category. So as these innovations are coming up, as there are new ways to create new opportunities, there are also new risks. So while our global frameworks and global infrastructures are still trying to catch up to regulation, the global AI governance, they are still trying to catch up and still try to come up to speed with innovation. We have to move forward with our awareness and looking into protecting what we are creating with the AI gold rush. Please, next slide, ma'am. Right. So moving on to us, the viewers, the users, the consumers, or even the builders and the architects, as we are trying to become, or we're walking into becoming, trying to protect and regulate our own output before the proper infrastructure or the proper frameworks are out there. Internal policy is the first structural firewall against external risk. Now, this can come into play maybe in a business organization, right? These are the things that will be regulated: the compliance firewall, internal AI compliance firewalls, right? These are not future scenarios. Organizations are liable for these answers today. For example, one, the employee use. What company documents are strictly prohibited from being uploaded into external AI prompts? Precisely. I think I mentioned this previously when I was talking about creation, because the moment you even mention what you can use them for in your business ecosystem, you have to think about the risks involved. Because like I said, if this information is out there, you have to start thinking about data protection, right? Because you cannot tell exactly, although it's always imputed in the fine print, but sometimes these big tech companies may have a propaganda, right? So there must be these compliance firewalls in order to protect what you're doing with AI. So what company documents are strictly prohibited from being uploaded into external AI prompts? These are questions that must come up. Risk management. Who holds human accountability when the AI generates an error or hallucination? I previously established what hallucinations mean, or the fact that AI can actually give you error written beautifully. That's exactly what hallucinations are. I mean, it happens a lot. You can ask AI very simple questions, even with facts. AI will bring you facts that do not exist, because at the end of the day, they are being trained on human data, but they are still synthetic intelligence, right? So that's the risk management. For you to not allow AI to take the wheel, or for you to direct and build on it. So you're still the driver, you're still the architect. Then there's data protection. How is sensitive customer data sanitized before interacting with third-party language models, in order for you to ensure that these models are not actually retaining that data, right? And then transparency. At what threshold must customers be notified they're interacting with AI-generated content? This is something that also links into what our next speaker is going to be talking about, because some of these platforms now have stricter regulations, stricter policies that you must state when one is interacting with either AI-generated content or an AI chatbot, right? The next slide, please, ma'am. Okay. Now, global regulation is moving slower than the technology intends to govern. This has been very much established, because just like when it was the internet, just like when it was social media, and now it is AI. And even till date, there are so many loopholes in social media regulation. That is why it's amazing that today we have with us a law preacher that just recently wrote a book, The Laws of Social Media, which has been able to fill in a lot of those loopholes on the social media platform. But that is on the social media platform strictly. Now, when it comes to AI, since it is still quite new, especially these new innovations and new evolutions that have come with this wave of AI, there are still a lot of loopholes. There's still a lot of things that are yet to be established. So the technology is moving rapidly, way faster than the AI governance itself. So this is the current global regulatory matrix. Like I stated, only in US and EU has something been done to a certain level of significance, but it's still patchwork, right? The regulatory approach, patchwork state by state, depending on the particular case study, right? And then in EU, it has been measured and comprehensive. What this means is, for example, under the USA, the No Fakes Act, like we mentioned, and there's also the Take It Down Act, which is for the EU, right? And then in Africa, sectorial, there is rapid adoption versus slow policy. I think this explains it. It explains it perfectly, because it's Africa/Nigeria. And we know that in this part of the world, they have not only accepted it, they have adopted it very much rapidly. And the only thing standing in our way, or the only thing standing as a backbone, is the Nigerian Data Protection Act of 2023, which only protects certain aspects of things. But let's move on, please. Next slide. Nigeria's regulatory landscape is currently a sectorial puzzle. Okay. While the AU adopted a continental strategy in 2024, 83% of AI funding remains concentrated in just 4 African countries against a $500 billion need. Basically, the National AI Strategy and pending AI Commission, they are awaiting statutory enforcement power and registry. So there's actually a bill that is currently being passed. And at the end of this passage, there will be a commission established. So everything is still in the works. These are just things that are still in the works. There is no practical regulatory framework. There is no practical law, but everything is still a sectorial puzzle. Next slide, please, Ma. Okay, the protection paradox. One of the things that we must look into doing is acting as our own regulator, which, for example, is what you're doing by being present in this webinar today. Because having this information, staying aware, it helps you to know what to do and what not to do in the age of AI. So this is the asset defense matrix, what you must know, right? So your assets, what you control, your output, your content, your brand identity, your own digital likeness. The threats you will face with your output, plagiarism, like I said, these tools are everywhere. Everyone has access to the information. So definitely more than one, more than two people are bound to come across the same piece of content material, the same piece of AI output, if there is no much original work or authorship or authentic creative work or creative input rather put into that prompt or put into that AI tool. Then immediate action, how would you survive? Document your human edits to secure copyright. Eventually, when you go to secure copyright, when you aim to secure copyright rather, you need to have these documentations. You need to be able to state where and where you made those tweaks in order to secure your copyright. Then for market infringement, based on your brand identity, you have to file an early trademark. It's always first come, first serve. And the thing about trademark is, even if you file trademark on something, because this information is global, it's not limited to Nigeria. But imagine if you file a trademark on something and you secure that trademark and you go to another country because it's global use and somebody else, is using that same brand or brand identity over there, it becomes a new case altogether. And then deep fake fraud. Establish strict internal AI verification policies. Well, it is strict internal verification policies like we established previously in the previous slide, right? With the data protection laws and all the other things. Technology moves at light speed. Bureaucracy moves at the speed of infrastructure. Waiting for government protection is a failing strategy. You must build the safety net yourself. Yes, precisely. The technology itself is moving at a very fast-paced rather. Bureaucracy moves at a speed of infrastructure. So waiting for government protection is a failing strategy. You must build the safety net yourself, which is what we are doing, here, trying to act as your own regulator. Next slide, please, ma'am. Please, the next slide now. Okay, in order for us to save time, I'm just going to summarize all that is left so that we can move on to the final speaker. The framework is clean. The reality of implementation is messy. This just establishes all that we have already said previously in terms of regulation, right? Are we outsourcing the very muscle of critical thinking? These are questions it poses, right? Because at the end of the day, these AI tools provide deep thinking functions, and we are using it to save time, right? The spark. Can AI replace the origin of creativity or just the execution? Certainly, it cannot replace the origin of creativity because it is pulling up data, it is pulling up patterns, it's pulling up human data, and whatever AI has is synthetic, or you are the original source of the creativity. The African gap. Beyond regulation, where is the local market leaving opportunity on table? Okay. The speed limit. Is regulation protecting citizens or just protecting the monopolies? If you're with me, please, can you just put it in the chat? Let's know that we are still together. If you're still with me, just put it in the chat. Just say you're still with me. Okay. So these are actually questions. These are actually take-home questions, right? The speed limit. Is regulation protecting citizens or just protecting the monopolies? What is the single most critical action to take tomorrow? The next move. So let's go on to the final slide, Ma, so we can welcome our next speaker. Africa should not simply consume AI. We must define its future. I think that our previous speaker has expounded so much on this statement here alone that there is no need for me to even go on to further establish it. Africa should not simply consume AI, but define its future, right? So create with intention, monetize with systems, and protect with foresight. The winners of the new gold rush won't be those who use the most AI tools. They will be those who protect what they have already built. So at this point, we've come to the close of this section. I'll be looking to invite our last and final speaker for the evening to just, if we can have her profile up for a very, very brief introduction. The amazing law preacher herself will be speaking to us on AI, social media, and the law. If you can create it with AI, does that mean you can post it online? What do you need to know about posting this AI-generated content on the social media space? Are you going to get flagged? Is your account going to get suspended? What are the protections? What are the platform policies? Because as much as the global frameworks are very much slow to make regulations, the platforms are not as slow as they are. The platforms are fast as well, making policies, making regulations, and doing things that the next speaker is going to be sharing with us quite briefly. So make a big welcome as we have our amazing last and final speaker to do the most for us. Yes. Make an amazing welcome for Benedicta Wokocha Gracious, the law preacher. She's a legal practitioner, a digital law advocate, and author of The Laws of Social Media, and also a special envoy on international human rights. Through her platform, The Law Preacher, she empowers creators, entrepreneurs, and businesses with practical legal knowledge for navigating the digital economy. So right here at AI Beyond the Hype, she will reveal how evolving platform policies, disclosure requirements, and compliance obligations are reshaping the use of AI-generated content across social media, helping creators and brands understand the risks, responsibilities, and realities of operating in an increasingly regulated digital space. So make a big welcome as we have Benedicta Wokocha come speak to us. Just because AI can create it doesn't mean platforms will allow it. Let us have her. If you're not excited in the chat, we're not going to get the next speaker up. Just celebrate our speaker. Celebrate our speaker.
Hello, everybody. Please confirm if you can hear me clearly. Let me know if I'm to get to it immediately. How is everybody? Hi, I hope you all are enjoying the session. Okay, yeah, you can hear me. I enjoyed every bit of the session. I learned a lot from the both speakers. So we're just going to go right into it. They've talked about monetizing the systems. They've talked about how you can protect, your work, your AI generated content. I was particularly concerned about that because we've had conversations about the protection of AI content, AI generated content, and the last speaker did justice to that. So kudos to you. Thank you so much for that insightful one. So we're going to go straight into it. As you know, I'm basically about what the law says. I'm basically about the do's and the don'ts. I'm basically about what you should do and what you shouldn't do on the legal space. What you do and what you shouldn't do on the digital space, rather. What the law says, the regulation. So in as much as you can use AI, in as much as you can monetize with AI, in as much as you can do a lot of things with AI, what are the boundaries you should not cross? What are the things you should take note of? What are the things you should do when you're operating in the social media space or meta platforms where we are using this this AI generated content. So if you're excited, let me see some exciting messages on the chat so we can proceed with that. And let me just know if you understand what we are trying to streamline this to, what we're trying to understand out of this session. Okay, great. Thank you. So, like the last speaker said, just because AI can create it doesn't mean platforms will allow it. There are certain restrictions on platforms that we have to take note of while using AI generated content. If you notice, recently a lot of accounts have gone down. Personally, my Facebook accounts have gone down because they said I violated certain guidelines. You understand? And a lot of people need to come to terms with guidelines of certain guidelines so that they don't cross certain guidelines, so that they don't break certain rules, so they don't violate certain standards and terms of use and policies on the social media space, right? So first things first, AI has fundamentally changed a lot of things in our lives. I'm not going to go straight into what we can do with AI. We can basically do a lot of things with AI. But the legal question we should ask ourselves is, if a reasonable viewer sees this, would that reasonable viewer believe it to be real? Will the reasonable viewer believe this thing to be real? If no, if they would not believe it to be real, then you don't need to do anything. But if yes, if they would believe it to be real, then you need to disclose. You have a duty to disclose to the society currently, the users of the social media space, the users of your content, that this is AI generated. And this is because these platforms have certain guidelines that operate all their general use. So whether you are using AI generated content, whether you're a personal person or whether you sell your human videos and everything, there are certain guidelines you should abide with, which is what we are going to be talking about. So Meta generally they have four guidelines that they use, four guidelines that guides most of their work. The first is authenticity, the second is safety, the third is privacy, and the fourth is dignity. So these are the guidelines for everything you post on social media space, for every AI generated content. It will abide by these four guidelines. And one thing we should take note of the fact that even AI, even these platforms, they've disclosed the fact that they use AI currently to even notice breaches. So when you've breached certain things, they use AI themselves to realize when one of their guidelines have been breached. And that is why you have to be extra careful, because you may not know that you are breaching these things. They will just put certain prompts with AI, and then if you violate certain things, you take your account down. That's why a lot of accounts have gone down recently, because of the increase or the rise in AI violations, AI use and AI violations. So because of those AI use and violations, it has prompted the Meta policies. It has prompted Meta themselves to double their security. Hence, they have put in certain measures using AI themselves to, regulate the use of the social media space, or the internet space or the digital space, so that whenever you do certain things, if you just say a particular thing, or if it doesn't meet a particular restriction, or if it doesn't meet a particular requirement, they would flag your account off. They would ban your account, or they would ban your page, or your whatever you're using to actually project your AI generated content to the public, especially content creators. especially people that are into creating content, making videos and everything. You would not know, but once you meet one, two, three, let's say you do a particular thing 3 times, your account goes down. So we have to be extra careful when using this platform. Sorry. So they have advertising standard, terms of service, community standard, developers policies, applicable laws and regulations. These are the things that that would regulate your AI posting or anything you use, anything you're posting on online space. The first one being authenticity. These platforms want to see that your content is genuine. This platform want to see that your content is real. So if you are putting in a certain level of fake stuff on the internet, then you should disclose that this is fake. The essence of this is, for it to be done in a particular way, not to be taken hook, line, sinker because it is fake. Because AI loves authenticity. Once you post things that does not represent the true fact of things, does not represent the true state of things, you are beginning to violate their platforms. And if you do this repeatedly, just know that you are the verge or you're the risk of losing your account. So AI wants you, or the Meta platform wants you not to misrepresent what you're putting out. Put it in the right context, right? Don't misrepresent what you are. Don't misrepresent what you are doing. Don't impersonate others. Provide accurate information and don't engage in any misleading conduct. So basically, always remember authenticity. Try to be authentic. Try to be as real as possible while even doing the whole AI thing. Try to make it not to be deceptive. Exactly, that's the word. Try not to deceive the public to believe that this is real when you know this is fake. It's a tool. The fact that you are using the tool should show your expertise, should show that yeah, you have some resources put together. So you should not be scared to say, oh yeah, this is an AI generated content, because they would even applaud your skill so that you don't deceive the public. I saw a video that our host um posted one time about a certain lady that was telling the public, oh, she sells a certain product that she makes with her hands, and she has Down syndrome, and so people should buy from her. So she just makes some random videos about her state, her condition, being someone with a Down syndrome, and people were purchasing her products because she has Down syndrome. You understand? So that now is one video that will be flagged off very soon. I'm looking forward to seeing that account going down, because she's deceiving the public for people to believe that she is a real human person, a real human being, and she's sick, and then she's trying to appeal to the emotions of people to buy her product, because people always they're always teasing her, mocking her, saying she can't sell. She'll say, oh, people said I can't sell 5 of my ceramics or something, 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 please help me prove them wrong. And people would go on and start saying, you are strong, you are bold, you are this, you are everything. That, in this sense, it's not authentic. So that is one thing you should realize when you're putting something out there: authenticity. The key question is this content genuine? That's what you should keep asking yourself. If it's not genuine, if the essence is to mislead people, refrain from it. But if the essence is to lead people on the right path with your content, then you can go ahead and continue with the AI generated content. Another is safety. So while putting out your content, you should ensure that it is safe for consumption. It is safe for people to look at. You can't be putting things that are inciting people to violence, terrorism, this, that, public disorder. They're just people things that would stir up emotions. Like on TikTok now, yeah, there is this girl, Monica or something, I don't know her name, but she tells different stories on the media space and everything. She'll just come and say some kind of things, and sometimes I listen to her content and
Talks.
sorry,
Polani talks.
Tolani. Tolani talks, yes. That girl, I don't know, but she doesn't have a face, but she keeps coming to say different stories on the social media space. And she also has an Instagram account. And I see her most times, she's trying to incite a certain level of violence. She's trying to set people up for drugs. She's trying to make the place unsafe for somebody. Every day she wakes up, she's dragging somebody, putting somebody up, trying to harass the person, trying to do. So certain contents that are AI generated, those accounts are what should be flagged off at this point. So I'm very, very certain that with time, most of those contents are going to they'll take them down, because if they are really sticking to these policies which says authenticity, safety and privacy and all those things, certain posts like that should not be made out. So while using AI, while creating your content, there are certain laws you should abide by with, and these are some of them. Another is privacy, and I said privacy and dignity are the last two. Privacy, basically, don't breach somebody else's privacy. Don't take their faces and make caricature of it in such a way that it invades dignity in such a way that it invades their own privacy. You can't, like, making videos of people dancing and everything. How about you seek their consent before doing stuff like that? The fact you are using someone's face alone is a violation of their privacy, because they have anything that is not you, anything that is not yours, then the next person has privacy. The next person has a right to privacy, right? People should be able to be themselves without being scared that someone else is going to take their face or take their videos and change it into something entirely different. So while you are, making your AI generated content, if you want to make reference to something, make reference to it and state it clearly that I am referencing this person. And while you are making reference, ensure that content has been sought before you are changing someone else's work, changing someone else's face, changing someone else's prompt or whatever, however it works. Don't just pick things that don't belong to you and put it on, because that can lead to violations, certain violations, both of their rights, both of their intellectual property, both of everything that they are doing. You understand? And the dignity, like I said, stop making caricature of people. Tinubu, we know he's a very good president. Yes. But that doesn't mean we should actually make fun of him. That doesn't mean we should actually make videos of him on his briefs and make videos of him dancing and all those kind of things just to make mockery of him. So these are things that govern the timeline that we are using. These are things that govern the space, the digital space. Privacy, dignity, don't laugh. Privacy, dignity, safety, and authenticity. Privacy, okay, let's start from top. Authenticity, privacy, safety, and dignity. A, authenticity, right? P, privacy. S, safety, and D, dignity. Just try something you can always remember. So I'm just going to try to share the notes later with the. Okay, yeah, it's on the chat box. Okay, if we put that on the chat box so that people can see that, I'm also going to share the notes with the host so that she will be able to share it out to the community subsequently. I wasn't able to put the slides and everything. It would not be in such a way that you can grasp. That's why I'm not even sharing my screen. So yeah, those are the guidelines that govern that space. So if you go ahead to community standards as well, they're all linked. If you have conscience, you should be able to know what you should post and what you shouldn't post. First of all, you should have conscience. That's one thing while dealing with AI. Before you're changing anything or doing something, let your conscience be active. I think that's the first step to actually being within the bounds of the law, because there is a little thin line between the both of them. So, like I said, the community standard, the short quote that governs the Meta platforms is rather, our community standards apply to everyone all around the world and to all types of content, including AI generated content. They even made express mention of AI generated content, saying all these things they are saying here applies to every form of content, whether you are human, whether you are not human, whether you are this way, whether you're not traceable. People feel like they are not traceable, but even if you own a platform and you're using that to create certain Monica Talks is very, very okay. Tolani Talks. Tolani Talks is very, very traceable if she wants to be traced, because there are meta stamps, timestamps, certain things that digital evidence that can be used to trace her. So whether she likes it or not, she is not, or he can even be a man. He is not, totally invincible. He or she can be traced digitally because there are certain things that this platform used to actually track where posts are coming from, right? So these standards apply to all kinds of posts that is already on the digital space, including AI content. So they said, we want Instagram to continue, or any other platform to continue to be an authentic and safe place for inspiration and expression. They want it to be a safe place for expression. They want you to be able to express yourself. They want you to be able to inspire the next person to do certain things. But while doing these things, you are not supposed to violate another person's rights. So your users are encouraged to post your own photos and your videos. Post your own. So if you know you are not posting your own, make reference. If you notice, even on Instagram or Facebook or something, when you're trying to share another person's content, they will not allow you to share it without making leaving traces of where that post is coming from. They will not share it as if it's your own. They would share it to say it is coming from this person. This person will share this person's post. The essence of that thing is to preserve the originality of that post. So when you refuse to use that share button, or you refuse to follow the proper route, and you decide to take it up and post it at yours, you are now beginning to violate the next person's right? So you must make sure that whenever you are making something that is not yours, whenever you're posting any AI generated content wherein you took something from someone that belonged to another person, you're cloning or doing something else, you must ensure that you post post, you make proper references. This is AI generated. This is it, and content must be sought if it's not your post entirely. So, like I said, post your own videos, follow the law, respect others, avoid scam, avoid spamming, avoid prohibited content. We know the prohibited content, like I said, anyone that doesn't follow those authenticity, privacy, safety, and all those things, those are highly prohibited content. So, like I said, create photos that only you have the right to share. When you make this prompt and everything, when you're doing all these things, if you know that there is something that references the next person, you just know that you don't have a right to share it unless you see the content of that person. Even if you're posting it and everything, it should not be derogatory, it should not cut out, it should meet the proper standard, it should be authentic, it should be safe, it should not violate their privacy, right? So these are things we should take into cognizance while posting our AI generated content. Follow the law. So one of the laws that you should follow in Nigeria is currently the Cybercrime Act, because this act is the act that talks about the laws governing the social media space, the law governing the digital space. I was holding my book because I wanted to show you guys something about it. So when they say follow the law, because even their guidelines literally said follow the law. What laws? The laws governing your own space, the laws governing your own social media space in your region or your country or something. So the laws of social media basically talks about the do's and the don'ts on the digital space. So they are telling you that while you are doing that, ensure you follow the laws governing your own space. So this ranges from defamation, cyberbullying, cyber stalking, AI violations, sextortions, blackmail, coercion. I'm sure we all know these things, so I'm not going to take so much time boring us with all these things. Privacy violations, sexual harassment on social media space, hate speech, impersonation. I'm listing them out because I'm sure you know all of this. Like I said, I'm going to maybe share the content with you, the notes, yeah, so that you would see what I'm talking about. So there are freedom of expression. We all have our right to freedom of expression. We have rights to create our AI and generate prompts and post and everything. But you don't have the right to breach another person's privacy. You don't have the right to defame the next person. That Tolani Talks is very good at defaming. That's why I wonder why they've not even taken down her account, because Nigerians are enjoying the gist. That's just why I feel. But literally, Meta themselves have an obligation to protect and take down certain posts that violates their community standard. But sometimes they are even biased, because why are you leaving such posts? She will literally defame the next person and call the next person names, harass the next person. These are things you should not do, because these are things that violate certain laws. So at your free time, make sure you read Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act. And yeah, just read some Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act 2015. I think it has already been amended, right? So when you read Section 24, maybe someone should put that on the chat box so we don't forget. Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act, that would enable you to actually know certain things that you should do on the social media space and what you shouldn't do. Like I said, no defamation, no impersonation, no violation of people's rights. Certain things, no blackmail, no coercion, forcing people. Even Section 24 even says leaving annoying posts, annoying and triggering posts about the next person, annoying and triggering comments about the next person is violating them. And now the definition of what is annoying, because some people may say this is annoying, but this is not annoying. The definition of annoying is subjective. So in the meantime, while we've not gotten the real clarity as to what a post is when you call it annoying, let us try to just be okay, just be guarded, when you're posting your AI generated content, something would prick the next person, something it's not an objective right, it is not right in this sense of everything. Try to just stay away, try to just refrain from such posting. Yeah, so basically the Meta prohibits unlawful conduct, misleading conduct, fraudulent conduct, unauthorized conduct, things that deceive the public. A lot of AI people are deceiving people currently. I was with someone yesterday rather, and he was telling me how the girl that he met physically was not who she said she is on social media, right? That all her pictures were AI generated. All her pictures now were AI generated. So in this instance now, can you hold that girl for posting her AI generated content and misleading the public as to who she truly is when she's not all that? This is an actual thing, because he came to me seeking for conversation, saying that he had spent money, he had done this, he had done that, and the girl was deceiving him because most of the things, and he couldn't tell that those were AI generated content because of how good she was. She said this in person, that's just AI now. She's not all that. So all the posts that she was making of she's in this place, she's in this place, they were all AI generated content. So posts like that are intended to mislead the public you should have it stated clearly that this is an AI generated content. That is a disclaimer that the platforms are telling you now, that you must use disclaimers when you are posting AI generated content so you don't mislead the public. With time, it's better you are one step ahead, so that when your people's account begin to go down, when they begin to put in the AI regulations, you would not be a victim of it. Because eventually now they are stating this was amended in 2025 November, wherein they stated that there should be certain level of disclosure. It's not even up to a year, right? So I believe that with time, the enforcement of this meta guidelines, the enforcement of this community standards would actually triple, they would increase. So we should be careful in there. You can't do anything unlawful, misleading, or fraudulent for an illegal purpose. So now she was trying to be fraudulent because she was posting things that weren't original, right? Without even putting any disclaimer that this is an AI generated content. So now the guy is saying that I wanted a chef that had a BBL, stuff like that. It's an instance. I wanted a girl that was working in the airport, right? I wanted a girl that this is what the image you put of yourself out there, right? So if you are not all that, simply disclose that it is AI generated content so that people would not be misled by what you're putting out there, because you can be liable for misrepresentation under our own Nigerian laws. Then not to talk of the one that you are doing under the digital laws as well, right? So yeah. So that is basically it. The platform discourages manipulation and deceptive practices. AI is getting very deceptive, so we should try as much as possible that when we're putting our content out there, let us disclose the level of AI use, right? Respect other members. Users should not impersonate the next person. Don't provide inaccurate information. Don't violate other people's rights. Respect intellectual property. Our host has talked about intellectual properties and what when they are protected and what how they are no longer protected and the laws that govern them. So try to respect the next person's authenticity. Like she stated, some prompts and now what can be protected and said it is yours. You understand? So when people, unless they come to disclose their prompts and everything, certain things are now particular to them in this course of AI generation, which we should take note of. So high risk content categories. Like I said, I'm just going to list them out so that you would know what and what you should avoid, right? Posts that promote crime, dangerous organizations, dangerous individuals, fraud, scams, deceptive practices, restricted goods and services, violence and incitement, adult sexual exploitation, bullying and harassment. People don't know what bullying is. Bullying is consistently hitting on a person, trying to make the person feel less of themselves, trying to stalk the person, trying to get the person on their last nerve. That's bullying. Bullying is not necessarily physical. You can bully someone emotionally. You can be on their pages, on their DM, just saying certain things all the time. These are bullying. So whenever we are using our AI content and everything, we should avoid bullying, avoid exploitation, avoid harassment. You may not know that your action constitutes harassment, because harassment is very, very subjective until you find yourself in the court of law and the court says yes, that is harassment. So you will say to yourself that I'm not harassing this person, but you are, and you wouldn't know that you are unless you go to court. And most times the court will say yes, you're actually harassing the person. So harassment, abuse, nudity, sexual exploitation, suicide, self-injury, eating disorders. I mean, even there are certain things you should avoid. That's why I'm listing them out so that you take note of them. Like I said, I'm going to send a note subsequently. Hateful conduct, privacy violations, violent and graphic content, account integrity, authenticity, cybersecurity, inauthentic behavior, misinformation, spam, third-party intellectual property infringement, locally illegal content, and the likes of that. So that's basically so we all have a responsibility, user responsibility, that the AIs will generate content based on the prompts you provide. So it is your prompts that would make AI. So and there's something called Meta AI, in as much as there is another AI. So when you're on Meta platforms, Meta also have their own AIs and they have already exempted liability. So if you create something and then it turns out to be, illegal, who is liable for those content? In this instance, you are the one, because you are the one that put in the prompt. If you notice, Meta AI, they have already exempted themselves, but people would not see that clause because they will always hide it. The AIs you will generate content based on prompts that you put. These AIs will generate content based on the prompts you provide, right? The specific content you provide will return based on your prompts, cannot be predicted in advance, and hence we are not bearing any form of liability. So if you use Meta AI to actually generate certain prompts or do certain things, because if you see WhatsApp has a Meta AI, Instagram, we all have Meta AI. So if you do that and you violate a law, and anybody, you cannot say it's Meta or it's Meta I used, or you are the one that put in the prompt. And even if they generate any content that is offensive, objectionable, inaccurate, or unintended, you are the one that will be liable because you are the one that gave it your prompt, just like the last speaker said. So basically, it's quoted, you, not Meta, are responsible for your use, response, and any actions taken in relation to the content generated by AI based on your prompt. So while you are using your AI, know that you are responsible for your actions, right? If you violate any other person's rules. So that's basically there's an obligation of disclosure for every person. And this obligation comes from their rules, the platform rules, and it also comes from consumer protection. That is our Nigerian laws, which I stated. The criminal code, so that you don't misrepresent and forcefully deny and deceive the next person. The Cybercrime Act as well, the penal code. These are laws that state that you should disclose so that you don't deceive the public, and then the Meta guidelines. So the last question should always be, would a reasonable viewer believe this content is real if no disclosure is provided? Would a reasonable viewer believe that this content is real if no disclosure is provided? If not, then you don't need to disclose. If yes, kindly always disclose that this is AI generated. Just put it somewhere. It doesn't have to be bold. It just has to be a little disclaimer somewhere under. Because if someone comes and says, she posted this picture where she was in the office as if she owned a company, or she posted this picture where she was in the plane or something, she was flying a plane as if she was a pilot. And because of that, I trusted her judgment as a pilot, and I DM'd her to ask her certain questions, and I paid for her consultancy or something. The law can say you are liable because you misrepresented the position you were and misrepresented who you were to the public without actually disclosing that this is AI generated. So yes, I've seen a lot of people that own offices when you are really not in an office. I've seen a lot of people that do certain things when you are really not that. The law is simply telling you now to make sure you disclose so that you don't deceive the public. You can make it in tiny print. You can make it at the last part. You can make it under your caption. You can make it under your hashtag. But you have an obligation to what? To disclose. In essence, that is all that we should know for today. While doing your AI, while creating your AI, always remember the guidelines: authenticity, safety, privacy, dignity, and finally, accountability. Thank you so much, guys, for this amazing session. This is the end of my own session. Over to our host in case we have any other questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that amazing session. Those of us that are still here, just appreciate our amazing law preacher. Appreciate our amazing law preacher in the chat for that insightful session indeed. This is really amazing. Thank you so much. So at this point in time, we've officially come to the close. I'll leave you with these final words, which has been our tagline from the start: create, monetize, and protect. That's simply been the framework behind this webinar, because AI is a new gold rush, right? And the winners, like our second speaker said, will not be the people. Yes, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Will not be the people using the most tools, but the people using the right tools to create value, to monetize with it, and to protect that value as well. So a big shout out and a big appreciation to those of us that have been here till now. It's been a really amazing session so far. A big appreciation to our second and amazing speaker, Heaven Eden. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Ma. It has been really amazing to have you. And to our last speaker, Benedicta Wokocha, thank you so much. It has been really amazing. If you have any final questions just put it in the chat. Anything you want to know, anything you weren't precisely clear on, anything you want to rectify, what you're going to be trying out, just put it in the chat, as we call it tonight. And if there's nothing, just say so. Or just say create, monetize, and protect. Just say create, monetize, and protect. So we call it tonight. I believe there are no questions because I can't hear any questions. All right, thank you so much, everyone. At this juncture, we've officially come to the close of the webinar, the first edition. We don't know if there will be another edition of AI Beyond the Hype. Thank you, everyone, and good night. In the absence of no questions, no contributions, thank you, everyone.